Hello everyone, happy Friday. It's Friday, July 3rd. Welcome back to 3 News Now. I'm Stephanie Haney. Welcome to your early update with the top headlines from WKYC.com and our WKYC app. If you were with us yesterday, you know that we did not have the updated numbers yesterday afternoon from the Ohio Department of Health because there was a glitch on the coronavirus dashboard on the Ohio Department of Health's website. But we do have those numbers now, so I'm going to start the day off with those numbers for you. And cases and hospitalizations were way up yesterday. Deaths and ICU admissions were also up, but the cases and the hospitalizations were way up. Yesterday we saw 1,301 new reported COVID-19 cases here in the state of Ohio, bringing that total now to 54,166, increasing quite a bit. So that's the second day in a row that we've had an increase of over 1,000 new cases. And yesterday, that was again the biggest increase since April 20th. This is also a large increase as well. The total number of deaths reported yesterday was 27, which brings our total number of deaths to now 2,903 here in the state of Ohio. Now here is where the number of hospitalizations went way up. We saw 127 new hospitalizations reported yesterday, bringing that total now over 8,000 to 8,038 total hospitalizations here in the state of Ohio. The total number of ICU admissions is now 2,035, with yesterday seeing 27 new ICU admissions reported. That's up from what we've seen throughout the beginning of this week when it had been staying pretty steady. Monday we saw 15 new ICU admissions. Tuesday we saw 15 new ICU admissions. Wednesday we saw 14 new ICU admissions, and then yesterday it bumped up to 27. Now, in Governor Mike DeWine's press conference yesterday, he did say that they will also start reporting presumptive recovered cases of COVID-19, and that is about 39,000 now in the state of Ohio. They didn't update that after they updated the new numbers, but dating back to June 30th, we now know that the presumptive recovery rate is about 39,000, and that's based on data they have of people who have left the hospital. Of course, they can't know how many people have fully recovered because you've left the hospital at that point. Dr. Anthony Fauci, who is the nation's leading top infectious disease expert, is now warning that a COVID-19 mutation could spread more easily. Now, it is normal for a virus to mutate, but he's saying here that this mutation that they're seeing could possibly make the virus better able to replicate itself and also have a higher viral load. Now, a viral load refers to how much of the virus is in those droplets, which is how COVID-19 gets transmitted, those droplets that come from our mouth, those respiratory droplets that come from our nose and then get into our system. So when we refer to it having a possible higher viral load, that means more virus in the same amount of droplets. So keep that in mind. Dr. Fauci did also say that they don't yet know if there's a connection between how severely COVID-19 impacts people with this mutation, but the virus does seem to replicate better and could be more transmissible. Now, again, all viruses naturally mutate, but researchers are now currently in the stage of confirming whether this COVID-19 mutation does make it spread more easily. Dr. Fauci referred to a study which is published in the journal Cell, that was yesterday, calling the new strain the most prevalent of the COVID-19 forms in the global pandemic. 4 U.S. states now, Arizona, California, Florida, and Texas, reported a combined 25,000 new coronavirus cases on Thursday. Coupled with everything else that's happening around the country, the infection curve has risen in 40 of 50 states heading into the 4th of July weekend this weekend. So keep that in mind. Experts are saying that the surge is blamed in part on people not wearing face coverings and not following distancing protocols as states have lifted lockdowns and allowed things to open. Dr. Fauci has warned that if people don't start complying with these protocols, these are his exact words, we're going to be in some serious difficulty. He went on to say this, right now, if you look at the number of cases, it's quite disturbing. We're setting records practically every day of new cases and the numbers that are reported. That is clearly not the right direction. Each day at 2 p.m. when I prepare for the afternoon update, I take a look at the U.S. and the global numbers of COVID-19 cases. So just to give you an idea of where we stand, Dr. Fauci did say that he worries that the U.S. will get to a point where we see 100,000 new COVID-19 cases per day. Well, from 2 p.m. on Wednesday to 2 p.m. on Thursday, the U.S. saw about 75,000 new COVID-19 cases reported. So the numbers are definitely going in that direction. Now, experts are saying that there are more young people who are getting infected, but they're also saying that we're not necessarily sure about the severity of the infections in younger people, as it was earlier stated that it was the older people and people with underlying risks who were more in danger for the more fatal symptoms related to COVID-19. We just don't know very much about the symptoms and the results and the long-lasting results of COVID-19. There are now studies coming out about neurological issues and all kinds of things. So just keep that in mind, especially when we talk about this next story. Masks are now required in the city of Columbus. Columbus Mayor Andrew Ginther signed an executive order that makes them publicly mandatory to prevent the spread of COVID-19. So that order goes into effect today, and that applies to public places, including stores, restaurants, salons, and barbershops, also tattoo parlors, daycares, and day camps, and public transportation. I can tell you personally that tattoo parlors specifically have been requiring masks of their patrons. My brother happens to work at a tattoo shop. I know they've been requiring it for a long time, but now this is being required at the city level in Columbus. So Mayor Ginther said that there are exceptions for people who cannot wear a mask for medical or behavioral reasons or a disability, also people under the age of 6, and people trying to communicate with individuals who are hearing impaired. Here's where things get a little bit interesting. The mayor was asked about enforcement. He said the police will not be stopping people to issue citations. He said the executive order will only have citations written to businesses that do not enforce requiring people to wear masks. He also said that public health officials won't be going into bars this weekend, but the Columbus Public Health Commissioner, Dr. Myshika Roberts, said she'll be sending a letter to bar owners recommending they limit capacity and cut back on hours. So, at least this weekend, the enforcement question is a little bit up in the air, but the mayor in Columbus does plan to ask Columbus City Council to talk about legislation on Monday in order to talk about the enforcement of this executive order. But the bottom line is, it's required in the city of Columbus. The bar could get cited. Don't put the bar in the situation of making people uncomfortable. It's required. It's an executive order. Probably a great idea to follow that because it is effectively required of everyone, even though you might not necessarily personally get a citation. It's just my personal opinion coming from a lawyer. Let's give you a little bit of entertainment news to start your Friday. The Crown has found its Princess Margaret for the 5th and final season. Leslie Manville will be taking on that role. She'll be taking over from the previous people who played, which included Vanessa Kirby and Helena Bonham Carter. Helena Bonham Carter played Princess Margaret in seasons 3 and the upcoming seasons 4. Manville will also act alongside Imelda Staunton, who will play Queen Elizabeth II, who is Princess Margaret's sister. The 4th season actually was able to finish production before everything shut down related to COVID-19. So we will be seeing that later this year. We will get that on time. That'll be on Netflix at some point this year. And here is big news that's all over the internet today. Hamilton the musical dropped on Disney Plus today. I saw so many people waking up at 6 a.m. to watch Hamilton. I felt, quite frankly, very left out because I unfortunately did not activate my Disney Plus membership when I got my new phone, so I'm missing out on that. So I hope all of you are enjoying Hamilton today. This is, it was interesting that it landed on Disney Plus. They were able to get the rating to a PG-13. Keep this in mind. With the PG-13 rating, you are allowed to have one of the worst curse words. You know what I'm talking about, that 4-letter one. It starts with the letter F. There is one of those in the musical. There are normally 3 in the musical, but creator Lin-Manuel Miranda dropped it down to 1. So there are creative ways that he got the other 2 instances of it out there. But you will hear it once if you're watching that with your kids today. Also, remember, if you haven't seen it, Hamilton the musical is 3 hours long, but it does also include an intermission. And if you're not aware, it is the story of the founding father, Alexander Hamilton, the Revolutionary War for Independence, the beginning of the U.S., very timely as we are looking at Independence Day tomorrow, and his journey from poverty to power here in the U.S. Looking ahead to tomorrow, there will be some fireworks in Northeast Ohio. We've got a full guide up on WKYC.com and our WKYC app. Here in the city of Cleveland, fireworks have been postponed until September at this point, but there are other places where you'll be able to see a fireworks display tomorrow if you want to celebrate Independence Day and the birthday of America. Here's a couple of those. In Akron, at Canal Park, they'll be showing a movie for the kids, one of the Frozen movies inside the stadium. That starts at 7:30, $10 to get in. It is limited, so check that out ahead of time, but you'll be able to see the fireworks from outside of the stadium after the movie. Up here in Avon, they're having fireworks at Crusher Stadium. Those will start at 9:30. People can park in the parking lots around the stadium for that. At Cedar Point, you can get a parking lot spot for $10. You can get into that lot starting at 8 o'clock, and those fireworks will start at 10 p.m. on Saturday. In Lorain, there'll be fireworks at the Mile-Long Pier starting at 10 p.m. In North Ridgeville, there will be fireworks at Victory Park with gates opening at 7 and fireworks at 10. And in Streetsboro, there will be a fireworks display at Woodside Lake Park, and cars can begin arriving there at around 7 p.m. That's just a couple of the places where you can see fireworks around Northeast Ohio tomorrow night, in addition to the fireworks that all your neighborhoods are setting off in their backyards, because as Mike Polk Jr. explained to us yesterday on What's New, which you can also find on WKYC.com, that has become quite the trend because of our very interesting laws here in Ohio. And here's one more thing to keep in mind in Summit County. The prosecutor's Arrive Alive program does continue thanks to prosecutor in Summit County, Sherry Bevan Walsh. So if you will be drinking and traveling around between the hours of 6 p.m. tonight and 6 a.m. on Sunday, you can take advantage of the Arrive Alive program and get a free ride so that you are not driving under the influence. Here's what you can do. You can either call City Yellow Cab. That phone number is 330-253-3141. Again, that's 330-253-3141, and just mention Arrive Alive and you'll get a free ride home anywhere in Summit County up to a value of $65. Or you can use Lyft. The promo code in Summit County for Lyft is SCPO7420. So that's Summit County Prosecutor's Office and then the 4th of July date. So SCPO7420 is that Lyft promo code in Summit County, and you can get a one-time discount of up to $20. There is a limit of 300 codes, by the way, for that Lyft program, for the Arrive Alive program in Summit County. Again, that's from 6 p.m. tonight on Friday, July 3rd, through 6 a.m. on Sunday, July 5th. Be safe, don't drink and drive. Enjoy the rest of your morning. I will be back here at 2 p.m. when we get those new numbers from the Ohio Department of Health. I'm Stephanie Haney.